Boba decides he's going to go back and get his armor, and then he's like, whoa, I forgot these spaceships have air conditioning. Yeah. This is awesome. All right, bye. Water on demand? What? Hail, Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We are here talking about the Book of Boba Fett, Season 1, Episode 2, The Tribes of Tatooine. We open with the assassin that Fennec captured in Episode 1 being interrogated. You know, who hired you, essentially. I liked the little Rancor fake-out. It was a nice callback. And the assassin reveals that the mayor of Mos Espa hired the assassins. The mayor later denies it, but I think it's pretty clear that it was the mayor. We end with more of the flashback from Episode 1. Boba is now being fully accepted into the Tusken Raider tribe. They have a big ceremony and a ritual dance. And at least at that point in Tatooine history, Boba is an honorary Tusken.
Yes.
So before we launch into a further discussion, Paul,
yes,
what did you think of Episode 2?
I enjoyed it. I think it did a good job of giving a fuller picture of Boba. At least the change that we can assume happened. One thing I was makes me curious about, though, is if they're able to find a way to contrast who he is with the Tusken Raiders and who he is at the present when he's trying to command the area. With who he was before he got swallowed. I don't know if they're able to give us a sense of who that person was, or if he will even speak to it. I have some hopes that his arc will continue to be interesting, and as he deals with like good management techniques.
It's true, right? We do have in some ways almost two shows going on: the present and the past. Yeah. So in the present, it's kind of a gang wars style Godfather type of thing going on, rival gang powers and the dynamics of keep that person happy. That upsets these people. And then in the past, it's more of Boba adapting to this new way of life with the Tuskens, and maybe seeing his transition from bounty hunter to this new version of Boba that then somehow, I guess, maybe has a better skill set to try to become a crime lord. I do feel like the show is certainly saying, hey, this guy used to be a little more sinister, and now, after this huge ordeal in the desert, he is no longer as sinister. He's capable, maybe even more capable now, but he's not quite as shoot first, ask questions later as he might have been before. The present stuff happens up front, and then the second half of the episode, which is longer, interestingly, is in the past. Another back to tank memory.
Yes.
So a few folks we meet that are possible rivals. We meet the twins. So these are relatives of Jabba. They're Hutts. I like the fact that they were straining to hold them up. You know, there's that shot when they're talking, and you cut to the guys holding their litter, and they're like, "Oh God, oh gee." That was kind of a fun little, like, oh, please stop talking. Let's keep walking. I can be the guy with a drum. So they are obviously very threatening. They say something like, sleep lightly, Boba Fett, or something like that. Okay, in other words, watch your back. And they've got at their disposal a character admittedly, I was not aware of this character. No, he's from the expanded lore, but it's the Gladiator, Black Chrysanthemum, who is a Wookiee bounty hunter. I did look it up. In the expanded lore, he connects with pretty much all the major players. You know, Jabba, Vader, Han Solo, Chewie, Obi-Wan, and notably Boba Fett. I like how the show revealed that they do have a past in just a few lines of dialogue. You know, Boba obviously knows him. It's like, oh yeah, well, you know, you got lucky, basically. It kind of insults him a little bit. But it does remind me a little bit of like this unofficial improv rule, which is that like when you meet another character on stage, just assume that you know them. That you have a past. It saves a lot of scene time. You skip all the introductions, get to the stuff people care about. So here we see that Boba knows the Gladiator, insults him, and he gets away with it. And I feel like that gives you a little inkling of their relationship. I feel like that guy's almost certainly coming back. But yeah, we get a Wookiee bounty hunter.
Yes.
I like it. Well, also, he confronts the mayor with this information. Hey, you send assassins.
Yes.
Mayor's like, nah, I didn't do that, but kill the guy, and then, thanks for bringing to my attention. Thanks for bringing to me this attention of the assassin, which is his way of giving him tribute without giving him tribute.
Sure.
And then says, hey, you should go check out the Sanctuary, which is that casino that Jennifer Beals is running. So we're seeing the town. We're getting a little bit of better idea of the layout of Mos Espa.
Yeah.
This seems to be kind of the center of Boba's dealings in the present.
Like I was saying about the previous episode, they're able to keep their fear relatively below the surface if they are afraid at all of Boba there. Of course, one of them is just a big puppet.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking that maybe the messenger was actually afraid. But you're right. There's a kind of people seem to be underestimating Boba a fair amount. At least I thought maybe it was on the surface, but I'm starting to think you're right. That maybe they think, he doesn't have any kind of following. He's kind of easy pickings, perhaps. Like if we just take this guy out, there's not really that many repercussions for it. We can just step in. All we got to do is just get rid of this guy. Does he have a network of friends? The answer is maybe. Maybe those Tuskens might be the friends that would come to his aid, but it doesn't seem like people know about that. So
yeah, well, and he's not proceeding along the way that others have. He doesn't have himself carted around.
He doesn't have the litter,
on a plank. It's like
he'd be easier to carry.
Yeah,
sure.
It's true. Yeah,
there's a weight limit on that.
They were easier to topple, I guess.
Yeah.
Although I guess if you knock those guys out, those huts would topple definitely. So I feel like they're making a strong point about how different he's acting.
I'm interested to see how claiming this giant job in a way, running a planet more or less, how that will change him again, perhaps. Like he's made this change as we're seeing from his roots. Does this then create another? We see like a third version of Boba, or does power not really corrupt him? He is where he is at this point.
I don't know. I'm always reminded of the scene from Superman 2 where Zod is sitting in the Oval Office and he's just sort of like, "Is this it? Is this all there is? We've conquered the
before
Earth,
Zod."
And that's the whole world is in their pocket. He seems to care about what's going on with the tribe, so he's somebody who's capable of perhaps being a good ruler if he can learn the right lessons once he's managed to quell all his opposition.
And it's interesting too, we're seeing at the beginning of this show, he is as powerless as you can be.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, he's a slave, but he's a slave to people that he's not even connected to. He can't even speak their language. He's as down as you can possibly be. And so then to see in the present that he's got this really auspicious position, it's kind of interesting duality.
And one thing too, actually, I'm curious about if Fennec Shand will, it's like Boba saved her life, perhaps that's merely all she needs. But she's been giving him some, contradictory, stuff that he's not necessarily taking to heart. He's a lot kinder than she would be. She'd be killing people, I think. So yeah, I wonder if she's going to, at some point, really start to question his
That's
tactics.
a good point. She is seemingly unwaveringly loyal to him.
Yeah.
She's giving him advice, and he is or is not taking it. But we never get the thing because she's an assassin. She's a sniper.
Right.
I don't think she was known in the past for her loyalty is great. So, is there a point at which she's like, I could take over? I don't know. Like if they're, it seems like no. It seems like they're together.
Yeah.
But
right. Yeah. But
I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of the things.
No honor among
does she ever
thieves.
question, whether or not she should stay? If she thinks that he's making decisions that are lead to dangers, she's going to go down with the ship. Hopefully, we get more of a sense that she has her own agency and might decide to take another tack. I don't know. I'd be curious to see her.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, I do see potentially like she might even be acting what she thinks is his best interests. You know, that he just doesn't know it and kind of thing. But their agendas are different, perhaps. That'd be interesting. So he gets back in the back to tank and drifts back. I looked it up because I was getting a little confused on the timing of all this. You know, this show is supposedly taking place about 5 years after the Return of the Jedi.
Oh, wow. As many as that.
Which is kind of where the Mandalorian was, I guess.
Okay.
That was the idea.
Okay, all right.
So because he was part of the Mandalorian and that's where he picked up Fennec Shand, they're just like, okay, the natural progression is then.
Wow, so that's, okay. I guess I didn't even fully appreciate that then. That's 5 years, a long time to be with...
right, so we don't know, with the Tuskens you're saying, right?
With
so
the Tuskens, yeah.
Some amount of time, up to
yeah.
perhaps 5 years, he was with the Tuskens. It feels like it might even be all that 5 years because in The Mandalorian, when we see him, he sees the Mandalorian taking off with his armor, and he's in the desert wearing the Tusken garb, you know, with his gaffy stick.
Okay.
So it does feel like he spent 5 years in the desert.
And then maybe he was just like, you know, I'm going to go out, fellow Tuskens, you know, for some milk. And then you're like, wait, that's my armor. then, goodbye. Or not even that, like, he hasn't come back. We have
Boba
water here.
Boba? Yeah. This is like, Boba decides he's going to go back and get his armor, and then he's like, whoa, I forgot these spaceships have air conditioning.
Yeah.
This is awesome. All right, bye. Water on demand? What? So, yeah, anyway, it is interesting to see, where, you know, he decides to leave the Tuskens. At this point, he's got a little higher status after episode 1.
Yes.
But we get this thing where there's the Pike Syndicate is a group. They're running drugs. They're running spice, which you brought up Dune last week.
Yeah.
There's another strong Dune reference. There are a lot of Dune references there. They're running drugs by train. They wanted a train robbery scene, kind of a Western, I think. So they're like, rob the train. And as they go through Tusken territory, they take pot shots at the Tuskens and their bantha. They claim eventually that it's because, hey, we're worried they were going to attack us, so we're shooting at them. It could also just be that they're jerks, and they're like, hey, look, easy targets. Pew, 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 pew.
Seems like the, more likely version.
Boba decides, hey, here's a way I can help this tribe. I'm better on tech. He sees some folks going by on speeder bikes, and is like, I can get these speeder bikes, we can keep up with the train, and then we can do a train heist. So he goes to get these bikes, and that's where we get another callback to Tashi Station, which is a New Hope thing. Luke goes to Tashi Station.
Yeah, apparently a couple of characters there from the original series, which I would assume they recast.
Yeah, and I think they were from like deleted scenes or something. But yes, they were
the characters. Yeah,
the characters themselves. Yeah. Then we've got this training montage. You know, hey, we got to learn how to use the speeder bikes, and they're using like a form of sign language. I don't know. He does a lot of. He can communicate a lot with a few gestures, but I get it. We'll go to the train, rob it. Yeah, so they can communicate. They're still teaching him how to fight hand to hand.
Right.
And so there's a little bit of they teach him something, he teaches them something, and then they pull off this heist. Which I'll say, when they start doing it, it's a very dramatic heist.
Yeah.
I feel
like there's not a lot of reason to think he should have succeeded.
Right! As they're doing it, I'm like, this seems like a bad idea. Like, whoo! I mean, these ports all start opening up, and guys are just taking pot shots from 5 feet away. You're like, oh man, you guys are, anyway. So obviously he succeeds. But it did occur to me, what if, because he's almost like, I think there's only 2 of them that survive, basically. So like, what if he's like the only survivor, and he didn't stop the train, and then he comes back to camp, he's like, well, we tried. Like, I feel like I feel like there'd be some trouble in camp. It was like, oh great, you just killed off, a dozen of my best fighters.
Yes.
And
it's like I was better letting those guys take pot shots at us.
Yeah, right. They say we're hiding behind a dead bantha or something. I mean, geez.
Oh, you didn't want us killed faster. Oh.
Okay.
That's what my
Okay.
objective was.
That was this sign language. I was like, we'll die faster if... but no, it works because he's Boba Fett, damn it.
Yes. That's
So
right.
they wreck the train, and then there's a nice shot there where we see a glimpse of future Boba, right? Where he's sitting, taking court almost with the prisoners. So he speaks to the leader, and he basically makes demands. All right, here's the demand. When you come through here, you got to pay tribute. If you kill one of ours, we're going to kill 10 of yours. Now start walking, And so, yeah, we get a little bit of crime lord Boba there.
And, he's like, I actually want you to survive. Here's some water to drink.
Yeah. Right. We'll all die. Oh, that's true. That my plan didn't work so well. Here's some water.
He's like, wait, I do want you to know I'm not evil.
Yeah. Evil. So it's a big, rousing victory. The chieftain of the tribe is obviously, welcoming a Boba. And I'll get it this way. Good on the chieftain. He could see Boba as like a threat to his power, but he doesn't.
Right.
At least seemingly. He's like, all right, thank you. I get you. You've added something to the tribe, and I appreciate that. And so then there's another kind of a interesting parallel to the future where they're dressing him in the ceremonial garb. It's similar to episode 1 when his droids are dressing him in the future as crime lord Boba. And then there's this interesting, lizard up the nose.
Oh yes.
Dream sequence. So what do you make of that imagery?
That might be the metaphor that is trying to explain where he's come from. I mean, they, show him as a child and it's loss of his
Camino.
father and everything. Yeah. It's interesting that, it sort of has a section where he's back in the bowels of the beast. Not only, the shots they shot with him in a uniform, but also him, without, so you can see his face and like, oh.
Yeah. And the branches of this
right.
imaginary tree are kind of holding him like the Sarlacc, keeping him back somehow.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what the importance of that is. It seems like a lot of stuff they're trying to communicate to us through dreams, or at least portend anyway.
I mean, there's the thought that Camino is definitely has a prevalence of water on it, and we see like the waves and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And we get this reference to the fact that Tatooine used to have a lot of water on it.
Yeah. It's interesting that they made mention of it. They were talking about when they went away, because he was talking about you guys shouldn't be hiding, and
right.
Like the different tribes, because without even talking about all those tribes, it's like, hey, well, this is our world, but it's like they haven't yet really built that coalition amongst the other, other tribes. So,
right. Hence the title, the Tribes of Tatooine. There's that sense of like this is our strategy: is we hide. Maybe other Tuskens do have other strategies. But from this kind of this dream, and then he kind of goes on this walkabout, and he comes back and he finds a branch somewhere out there in the desert, and then that becomes the gaffy stick that we see him use in The Mandalorian. It becomes this big, connection to the Tuskens, a treasured item of his, I'm sure. This is kind of dating back more to The Mandalorian, but the Tuskens, for what we can tell, they never remove their masks.
Yeah.
So it's much kind of a Mandalorian style thing. I wonder if I could imagine perhaps this show, maybe on a deathbed or something, one of these Tuskens reveals their face to Boba. I don't know. It's interesting. I am interested to know what they actually look like.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
You'd think Tusken makes it sound like they have tusks, perhaps, but I don't know. Whether they fit through the mask. I'll say this. Whatever. Their guttural sounds are all kind of over the map, but at when they're really excited, it sounds like a donkey. I'll just say that. Like, I'm like, it would like pull off the mask and it's like, I have a horse face. Oh, but no. Just an interesting parallel to the Mandalorians, and then the fact that they also, even their kids are like, no, you're going to wear that mask. And you're going to wear it for your entire life. Even when they're burning or they, have the burial pile, I don't think they take their mask off even in death.
Interesting.
So it's a thing. Don't demask a Tusken, is my guess. I should mention this. Max Rebo's back. So it's 2 episodes. It's 2 episodes for Max. So as I mentioned to commenter Reflective Rambling,
yes,
by naming his band the Max Rebo Band, which he does, Max Rebo is the Eddie Van Halen of Tatooine. And I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole, but
no,
I was interested
for your separate broadcast that are all about Max.
All about Max. I was interested in why Max is the only Crayola blue bipedal elephant on Tatooine. And Paul, I'm sure you're excited to learn. It's because he's not from Tatooine. He's from an ice planet, not Hoth, unfortunately, called Orto. And he has a thick layer of blubber to ward off the planet's frigid temperatures. So why does that guy spend his entire life playing keyboards on a desert planet? I need Book of Max Rebo. That's what I need. If the show kills off Max Rebo, I'm out, by the way. Don't touch Max Rebo.
I shouldn't mat him.
Don't mat him. Don't Paul Max Rebo, damn it. You get him, Max. It's good stuff, and I like Tamira Morrison, his portrayal. He doesn't, much like The Mandalorian, there's not a lot of dialogue. And so they're communicating through facial expressions, just through their body language. And I think they're doing a great job. It's impactful. We're learning a lot about Boba, and I love just seeing more of Tatooine. I don't know. I'm in on it. So
sure, yeah.
Thumbs up.
Be
And
nice though
looking
to get
forward.
a sense of it's like, is it really that way all around the planet? All
Right.
the you've seen your Tatooine, right? They're not far from where Luke grew up.
It's that whole thing of Star Wars. It was like, there's the desert planet, there's the swamp planet, there's the ice planet, there's the water planet, there's the city planet. Like, okay, the whole planet? But yeah, maybe we'll get we'll see some other sides. Is it just Mos Espa, or are we gonna see other parts of Tatooine? And there's obviously also some hints of like big cameos coming up potentially. I know some people are talking about Harrison Ford perhaps being in this thing. We'll see. Anyway, I wouldn't know to speculate, so we'll just let it happen if it happens.
Sure.
But yeah. Anyway, that's it.
Yes.
We'll be back talking about episode 3, and we'll probably be talking about the Expanse a bit coming up here. Its final season is underway. It's nearing its series finale, so we'll be discussing that. Anyway, thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir.
Sure, man.
And we'll be back talking to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.